KG4LUL listening.
Well, hi, Eric. Been a long time. WPAD. How you doing?
Well, hey, Walt. Doing well, sir. Uh, life is good. Health is mostly good. And I most recently got my retired father to become a licensed amateur radio operator. And hopefully he'll jump on this net here later on this evening.
Oh, that's great. What's your dad's call?
Oh, man. I guess I'm having a quote-unquote senior moment. I'll have to look it up.
Don't worry about it. Let's stand by. That's going to start in 5 minutes, and I think it's Larry's turn. W8SOX to run it, and we will find out if we need a net control and early bird check-in. So I will be standing by. WB80.
All right, Walt, and it came back to me. KO4 Whiskey Bravo Hotel. Just took me a minute. No one warned me about this getting old stuff, and I'm only 45, so ouch. KG4LUL, standing by.
Yes, well, we'll be running the net tonight there, Walt, so stand down. All right, I got you, KG4LUL and WPAD. Anyone else standing by for early bird?
Victor Kilo 4, Mike Sierra, good evening.
Hey, Mal, good to hear you. We got you in there. And number 3 on the list there, bud. So hopefully we'll get many more here, but let's see what happens. Early bird check-ins, please come now.
Gary, good evening.
Alpha Charlie 8, Zulu Delta, Dave in Snowy Sterling Heights.
Victor Echo 9, Delta Echo November.
All right, we picked up Dave AC8 Zulu Delta and Victor Echo 9 Delta Echo November. You got a name with that call sign?
Victor Echo 9, Delta Echo November. The name is Dennis. Dennis, VE9DEN, over.
Okay, Dennis. Very good. Got you down there. And I believe there was one other station before AC8 Zulu Delta, but they didn't quite come in that well. If I didn't call your call sign, please come now.
Gary?
Okay, Gary. Yeah, we had you in there, but that was Shadow N4 SSL. Got you down there, Shadow. Close enough to the net time here. I'll take one more time for check-ins, and then we'll get things rolling. It's W8SOX for the Zombie Alert Usika Fusion Net, held every Thursday at this time. We're looking for more check-ins. Anyone else want to check in? Get on the list. W8SOX.
Whiskey 1 India Kilo, Jim in East Point, Michigan.
Kilo Echo 4 Zulu Yankee Quebec, Joe in Clinton Township, Michigan.
Okay, I guess that'll be a good start here. We got a number checked in here, so why don't we get things rolling and go right up to the top of the list. So before we do that, does anyone here have a topic for discussion tonight? Please come now.
WB80, I don't know if this would be a good one, Larry. Actually robbed it from another net. Are you a introvert or extrovert? Are you a introvert or extrovert? If it doesn't fly, that's okay. Back to you, Larry.
KE4ZYQ possible topic.
Yeah, go right ahead there, Joe. We got Walt in there too. Introvert or extrovert, but what's your topic there, Joe?
Yep, KE4ZYQ, Joe in Clinton Township. For emergency backup, not necessarily battery backup, but for lighting, if you don't have a whole house generator backup, what lighting backup do you have? And I do have something I'd like to share if we talk about it. A light that if you can find the lantern, run on battery, it's an excellent one. So back to that from KE4ZYQ.
All right there, Joe. That sounds like a neat one. What do you think, Walt?
Well, yeah, run with that. Run with that. I'll use what I suggested on mine, if it need be. Back to net control, WB80.
Yeah, we'll save that one just for the topic later. And since we're going through this major league storm here right now, I guess we will use that as a topic. Good topic there, Joe. All right, let's run up to the top of the list. KG4LUL. Good evening. I didn't quite catch the name there, but oh yeah, how are you prepared here for lighting? Do you have any other source of lights? Go ahead there.
Hey, good evening. KG4LUL, back to the net. Yeah, I have a generator, and then I have tons of LED flashlights all around the place. We don't get a lot of storms in Virginia. If we do, it's hurricane or the occasional ice storm, and when we get an ice storm, it kills us here. So I'll also answer Walt's question just because I respect the dude, and I am a definite extrovert. Love socializing. My wife's an introvert, so we're kind of like a nice mix. And would also like to take a second to welcome my old man to the hobby. He's retired, living in the villages, and they're at a club meeting right now, and they may or may not be listening. But Kilo Oscar 4 Whiskey Charlie Hotel. His name's Keith, and hopefully he'll check in a little bit later on. With that, I will send it back to the net. 7-3s, KG4LUL.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I guess down there in the south area, I guess yeah, hurricanes are a bigger thing than what we get here. Although we do get our occasional monster storms here. We're getting beat down right now with a good snowstorm right now, but that rarely brings down power lines unless ice builds up on them. Oh well. Well, thanks for that. Let's move on down. Oh, what was your first name again? LUI. I know I've talked to you before, but I just can't remember your first name.
Yeah, it's Kilo Golf 4 Lima, Uniform Lima, Eric in Chester, Virginia.
Okay, my apologies. I totally went blank on the name there, so some days are like that. So thanks, Eric, for checking in, and let's go down the list now to WB80. Walt, how are you prepared for lighting? Over to you.
WV80. Thank you for taking the net, Larry. Welcome, everybody. Well, we do have a little bit of a storm. Hopefully nothing to worry about. Don't get all emotional about winter, we will call it. I do have a generator in the garage, 9,000. A big beast. It's actually my son's. I never returned it. He never returned all the tools he took from me, so I don't feel bad. The old free flashlights you get from Harbor Freight. If you want a tape measure or a flashlight, you always take the flashlight. And yeah, I do have my three 35 amp hour batteries that are fully topped off, which I use for the lark in the park. And Joe, thank you for the topic. What brought to my mind was the old white gas lanterns. Remember those? And the white gas little heaters for the ice shanties. Those who don't know, we ice fish in this part of Michigan, at least I used to. And I'm thinking, jeepers, that old white gas stuff. Oh my goodness! And the special funnels, and put the oil in around the plunger so the little cork thing wouldn't get all dried up. And now you have to drill a hole through the ice. You actually have a battery-operated ice auger. I tell you, boys and girls. It's a different world. I would be here for the 73 round. Back to net, WB80.
Okay, Walt. Yeah, that's interesting. You bring up that white gas stuff. Yeah, that's I had a few of those for camping a while back here, and with the advent of all these new propane lamps, I figured we'll get rid of that. And then LED lighting lamps came in, and it was like, wow, even better. But I do have a couple of kerosene lamps that were left here when I first moved in, and I said, I'm not going to throw those away. They're still working. They're still good. I'll use those, and there have been a couple of times where my power went out and I was able to use them. Not for long, but it's very interesting. I have those, and I got a couple of solar-powered flashlights that I can always use too. So I got numerous other flashlights around here too. So yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to find them, but they're around. I tend to forget where I put them. But for the most part, the solar ones, I know where they're at, but there's also all these little handheld mini lights that I have that want to do it. And I can always use my solar powered one will charge my cell phone too. So, and I do have a flashlight on that. So hopefully they all work when I need them. Thanks, Walt. VK4MSS Mel. Good evening or good morning to you, and hope you're doing well. And what do you use for emergency lighting? Over to you, Mel.
in the shack. I've got one fairly large battery bank, but it runs the whole of the shack. It keeps the radios working. It runs in old speak, there used to be a 40-watt, 4-foot-long fluorescent tube. Well, I have a thing that looks like one of those, but it is in fact all LED. They're not uncommon, at least they're not in this country. I'm sure they're very popular in the United States as well. Flick of a switch? Well, it's actually not the flick, it's a twist of the switch. It's a changeover, an on-off-on switch. And I can go from the mains connection through the, what do you call them, power reducing things, you know what they are, or just flick it to the other side and I've got straight 12-volt battery power. And it will keep the shack running for around 30 minutes, which may not seem very long, but that is certainly long enough for me to dig out my 6 kVA generator, pour some petrol into it, and press button A, which is the electric start, and flick another changeover switch, and not only is the shack on full AC power, so is the whole darn house. So, yeah, that's the emergency power situation here. And a very quick one for Walt. I'll just give the button a flick here. Walt, you was wondering whether or not radio hams might be introverts or extroverts. And I've never actually heard a halfway house on that. But I thought about it after you mentioned it, and by golly gosh, I'm an ambivert. I'm neither an extrovert nor am I an introvert. More to the point, I simply go with the flow with whatever's happening around me, and if I don't like it, generally speaking, I just walk away. So that's the situation here. Good to hear you there, and I will be around for the 73 round. Back to you there, Larry. W8SOX, net controls, the VK4 Mike Sierra, Charters Towers.
Oh, very good there, Mel. Thanks for that input there, and we'll look forward to you on the second go-round there. Yes, definitely, you got all the right stuff there, that's for sure. I used to have a generator myself, thought I would use it, and there was one time where my power did go out, and I said, okay, I'm going to fire up this generator for the first time and use it, you know. Well, I started it once a month, but don't get me wrong. But this was the first time I was really going to be able to use it for what I got it for, and so I got everything all set up. I had the cords running through the windows, and I fired her up, went inside, and I'm like real happy. I had the lights working, and 2 minutes later, boom, the power comes back on. So I said, well, at least I only had some lights powered up with it, but I decided to break everything down and put it all back away again. So I got rid of that generator. I figured, well, I've got enough lighting and things that I need to survive without it, so I'll just deal with it that way. All right. Thanks, Mel. Let's move on down the list. KI8M, Gary, how are you prepared for lighting and stuff like that in case you need it? Over to you.
Okay, good evening, Larry, W8SOX in a group. This is KI8M in Washington Township, Michigan. Well, we built this house about 18 years ago. And when we did, my brother-in-law, who was actually the ramrod, he was the foreman, if you will. He had all the contacts. I told him I wanted to wire up a whole house generator. And I was able to buy one at a big box store called Home Depot. And they just opened up this store near my current house. So we got it at 10% off, plus being a veteran. I got an additional 10% off and they were willing to hold it in inventory until we were ready for it, and then they delivered it. They actually put it right on the spot where we needed it. So it all worked out very, very well. And this whole house generator would be, if I remember correctly, it's 14 kW if you run it on gasoline. And let's see, LPG, excuse me, if you run it on propane, or if we run it on natural gas, you lose a little bit, and I believe it's 12 kW, not 14. We've actually needed it in the 18 years that we lived here about 4 times where it was running for 8 hours or more. One time a transformer blew. We knew that for sure because had a neighbor that was connected with our power company. And the other 3 times I really have no clue as to what the heck happened. I'm assuming another transformer somewhere. But in any event, it was money well worth spent. 2 of the 4 times it went out in the winter, and the other 2 times went out during milder weather. One of the times, let me buy a second. One of the other times, it went out when we needed air conditioning because it was like 90 plus degrees outdoors. So I'm glad I spent the money. I'm not sure if I could afford it today because the price went up super high. In addition to that, I've got a box of batteries here, the LiPo batteries for the radio. Also, I have plenty of flashlights and plenty of batteries, which is very important. The other question that Walt threw out, also a good one. I'm a little bit of both. If I'm home and I'm not actively involved in anything, I'm quite content reading or having a TV or a radio on in the background, or ham radio for that matter. When I was working roughly 40 years on the road as a sales rep, so you can't be an introvert if you're trying to sell people. So good questions. Back to you, Larry. This is KI8M.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, if I were to get a generator, I'd probably go with something that would run on natural gas or propane, to be honest with you. More likely natural gas. Less fussing around with, and it'll keep running. But very good, Gary. Thanks for that input there. Let's move on down the list now to AC8 Zulu Delta. Dave, how you doing this evening, and how are you prepared for lighting? Over to you.
Well, good evening, Larry, and everyone else on the net. Emergency lighting. I have flashlights. There's this, I don't know if anybody's familiar with reddit.com. reddit.com/r/flashlight. If you go to there, you're going to see a ton of flashlights you can buy. So one of the purchases I made came from that subreddit, as they call it, and it's a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, rechargeable battery. I've got 2 of them, little flashlights, and the batteries last quite a long time idle. And if you were to run the flashlight continuously, it would run for days. There's a couple settings, low, medium, and high. So if you put it on the really lowest, like if it was really a pandemic or whatever, you could put it on the lowest setting, and there you go. But as for the other question, introvert versus extrovert, well, I work in computers, and we tend to be introverts, and as being an engineer and all that stuff. So I'd probably qualify there. I do a lot more listening than I do talking. So back to net. AC8ZD.
All right, Dave. Very good. That's interesting, I should say. And I never thought about looking for different type of flashlights on the internet there, but I'll have to do that maybe. I might find something that might appeal to me here. We'll see what happens. All right, Dave, thanks. Let's move on down the list over to Victor Echo 9, Delta Echo November. Dennis, How you doing this evening, and how are you prepared in case of an emergency for lighting? Over to you there, Dennis.
Well, good evening, Larry. Good evening to one and all. Denny here in Dalhousie, New Brunswick, northern part of New Brunswick, Canada. Yes, sir. Well, out here, we got a generator. It's not a very big one. It's 3.5, something like that there, 3,500 or something like that there. It's in propane because it doesn't stink to start with, and we have propane here steady, so in the summer we might as well say we eat outside, so there you go. So lots of propane, so we use that. I had to use it once. And candles, lots of candles. We got lots of that, that's for sure. It even heats up the place, you know, if it's cold out there and you got no heat, well, candle can certainly start, you know, for your fingers to be okay, and then they get a little warmer, eh? Yeah. So that's what I got, that's all. I got a few flashlights, but I don't even know what they are, but I know where the candles are. And the generator, and it's ready. Back to the net, Mr. Larry, VE9DEN here, Deneen Dalhousie, over.
All right, Dennis, very good. And yeah, that brings up another good point. Candles. Yeah, I know one year I was heading up to the UP, and I had heard a story that week how some survivors had a little small coffee can and some candles, and they actually needed it inside the car, and they were able to keep warm enough and have enough light until rescuers came by. They were practically trapped in the snow, and I had that fear of being that happening to us in a sense. So I actually got a little small coffee can and some candles, and it's always prepared in case I have to go up north somewhere, or somewhere where, like tonight, if it's in a storm and you get trapped someplace, especially out in the middle of nowhere. So comes in handy, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Dennis, and we'll look forward to it. We do have a second go around here, too. All right, let's move on down the list to November 4, Sierra Lima. Good evening there, Shadow, and how you doing this evening? Over to you. And how are you prepared for emergency lighting?
Well, I learned my lesson going through Hurricane Irma about more than just lighting, about having communications, because I lost cell service whenever our electric company turned off the power to prevent any damages. I lost cell service for like a week until they turned the power back on. As far as lighting, I have several rechargeable light bulbs, and believe it or not, they actually exist. You can put them in a socket and they'll recharge, and then when the power goes out, they'll come on and they'll still operate for several hours. I have several of those, and they work really nice. I got a lot of LED lights that are rechargeable because I also have a small solar system. It consists of 2 panels and a battery so far, and I trying to get myself leaning more towards using the solar power as far as lighting in my house. So that's what I have as far as lighting. I also have, I have a flashlight that is both USB rechargeable, and also you can recharge it by solar. So if I run out of power, I can always stick the flashlight outside and recharge it during the daytime. So yeah, I tried to go as low power because I also want to try to run everything off USB, because with having things powered by USB, it's easier to recharge via solar. It's way easier, I found that. So, and as far as Walt's question, well, I'm on the autism spectrum, so I'm naturally introverted, so because I have social issues, so I'm not very good out and social things. So yeah, I'm definitely introverted. In for SSL, back to the net.
All right, sir. Well, very good. Yeah, I imagine you would be pretty much prepared for a lot of things going through some of those hurricanes down there. So, thanks for checking in and giving us your side of the story there. And I will look forward to you on the second go around. All right, let's move on down the list to W1IK. Jim, I'm sure you're prepared in some way, shape, or form for emergency lighting. Over to you there, Jim.
W8SOX, net control for the Usika, Thursday night C4FM net, here on the Zombie Alert Network. Good evening, Larry, and good evening to all aboard. Well, am I an introvert or an extrovert? Yes, I am an introvert or an extrovert, depending on the circumstances. As far as emergency lighting is concerned, old school flashlights with D-cell batteries. I check them about every 6 months. About the same time I check the smoke alarm batteries and stuff like that. Strategically placed around in various places. They come in handy. Hang on a second. Larry says my audio is hot. Okay, let's de-hotify it. Okay, how's that? Is that better, Larry? You can tell me with another text message as I continue to ramble on. At any extent, so that's one thing. That's lighting. But basically, I've wired the genset on the RV, which I keep in my backyard. I've wired the genset to be able to backfeed the service panel of the building when the time comes to do that. I have not actually tested this RV. I have not actually tested this RV backfeed situation, but I did it with the previous RV and generator, and it worked fine. You just can't run the entire house. It's a 5 kilowatt generator system, so with a little bit to spare, I can run most things. But the refrigerator is probably the biggest load. Let me break for time. I have gas heat. I have gas cooking. Like I said, the largest load during the winter months, it would be the refrigerator, which isn't all that much, probably 15 amps max. And the rest of the house is all LED lighting, so I can probably turn every light on in the place and not make a dent in the generator's capacity. In the summertime, it'd be a little bit of a different story. Got a couple of air conditioning units, window units, that I probably would not be able to run at the same time with the fridge and all that. So we just have to tough it out a little bit in the summertime for this power. Open a window or two. But other than that, backup batteries for ham radio equipment, of course, are ubiquitous, and we keep those charged and tested periodically. So with that, we'll send her back to net control. By the way, I'm not in East Point. I lied. I'm in Madison Heights at Green Lantern having a pizza, waiting out the snowstorm. I guess I'll be here until Sunday. We'll talk to you guys on the second go-around. W8SOX and the group Whiskey 1, India Kilo Jim, portable in Madison Heights, Michigan.
All right there, Jim. Very good. I hope it isn't too packed in there. Maybe it is. I don't know. Okay, but you're at a fine establishment there, that's for sure. I love that place. Been there a couple of times and love that pizza. Yeah. So, all right. I kind of figured you'd be a little prepared there. And yeah, with that generator on your RV too. Yeah. What the heck? You could live in that RV if you wanted, if you really needed to. So, yeah. All right, Jim, thanks, and we'll look forward to you on the second go-around. KE4ZYQ, Joe, your turn. And how are you prepared for emergency lighting? Over to you there, Joe.
Yep, good evening, Larry and Annette, the group, KE4ZYQ, Joe in Clinton Township. Well, the reason I brought that topic up is it's good to pass on some good information to people that they could utilize if they choose. I bought off of Amazon these small little lanterns that run on about 3 or 4 AA batteries, and they are LED, obviously, and you pull them up and they turn on, and you can pull it up halfway and they use less power. Very good, long-lasting. In fact, the one I bought I bought 4 of them. They come 4 in a pack, at least the ones I bought. They run about 11 hours constantly if you were to use them constantly. They're kind of neat for emergency room-to-room carrying and portability, and just nice. And then also the LED flashlights, like everybody's talking about. It's good to have those, inexpensive. And one thing I want to say, let me take a pause a second. One thing I'd like to say is if anybody doesn't stock up on some batteries, AA's and AAA's for flashlights and all, or lanterns like I just mentioned, Costco, not to promote the Costco, but Sam's Club and others may have it too. Different stores have the Duracell that have a 25-year, I believe, shelf life, or excuse me, maybe 10-year. Anyhow, it's a long shelf life, let's put it that way. 10-year shelf life, something like that at least. But I did come across a Coleman lantern that I bought at Costco, about 3-4 years ago or more. I've yet to change the batteries in it. They have detachable separate lanterns on the side, 4 of them, that have 6 LED bulbs in it. They run off rechargeable batteries inside the separate detachable lanterns on the side, 4 of them. In the base of the lantern is C or D cell batteries that charge the rechargeable batteries. So when you place the separate detachable one lantern out of it, you place it back in the holder of the base unit, it charges those rechargeable batteries. You can use it all as one big lantern or separate 4 detachable lanterns. It's red in nature, and it's got gray accents, but red in nature. If you can ever find it, I don't have a model number. I got it sitting here by me. If I could find a model number, I'd give it to you. But it's an excellent, excellent lantern with detachable lights that you can pull off of it with 6 LED bulbs on it. So back to that from KE4ZYQ. Hope I came through.
All right, Joe. Yes, you came through just fine. Yep, and boy, and I do remember those Coleman lanterns at Costco several years back. I told myself to get one, and I said, I got plenty of other lanterns. I don't need any more. And stupid me at the time, I guess. But the ones I did have, I eventually they either broke, ran out of juice, whatever. So I just live and learn. So maybe they'll have them again sometime soon. All right, Joe, we'll look forward to you on the second go-round, and that's the bottom of the list. Do we have anyone else that wants to check in for tonight's USEEK Zombie Alert Net? Please come with your call sign and name now.
This is November 8, Hotel Uniform, Indian.
This is Kilo Echo 8, Tango Sierra Foxtrot, Paul in Westland, Michigan.
Okay, we picked up Andy, N8HUB, and Kilo Echo 8 Tango Sierra Foxtrot. Paul, did I miss anyone, or anyone else like to check in? Please come now. All right, hearing none, we'll just go right up to Andy there, and we're on the west side of the state of Michigan. And Andy, tonight's topic, I don't know if you didn't heard, but we're talking about what are you using for emergency lighting and backup power in case you need it. Over to you there, Andy.
Hey, yeah, good evening, Larry. Thanks for doing the net. Good to hear everybody on there. Good night for talking, I guess. Well, I'm one of those guys that are LED crazy. I got LEDs all over the place. Lanterns, 28 LED flashlights. I got a nice lantern about a foot high and 4 inches square. It's got 32 LEDs in it. It runs a long time on 3 D-sized batteries, and I got a miniature one that looks about the same thing, with half as much. Let's see, 32, 48, 12, 16 LEDs on a smaller battery, and that runs on 4 AA batteries. That lasts a long time. You can set it low, medium, and high too, so that works out good. I used to have LEDs all over the shack. I had anywhere from 30 to 40 LEDs around the bench, and had it hooked into a 12 volt 10 amp battery. I kept 30. But the ones on the batteries, easy 12 hours, so add on good.
All right, Andy, you were dropping out just towards the end of that. Were you finished?
Yeah, I just turned it back to you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. We got pretty much most of it, but it just suddenly dropped out there. All right, Andy, very good. And, well, yeah, LEDs are the thing to have. How fortunate we are to have those things today. With the old C&D cell flashlights that we had, boy, you really were taking your chances if those batteries were going to last you a while or not. But very good, Andy, and thanks for checking in here. All right, let's move on down the list. KE8 Tango Sierra Foxtrot. Paul, good evening, and how are you prepared for emergency lighting in case we need it? Over to you there, Paul.
So I am a computer guy. So I have many computers. I also have a rack of servers in the basement, and so I have a lot of UPSs around to make sure that they are able to be shut down cleanly when power goes out. And DTE this past summer went down constantly. So this past year, I decided to go out and get a gasoline generator, 7.5 kilowatt. So that way I can run the refrigerator, run the router and the cable modem and a laptop, so I can still work because I work from home. And so when the power's out longer than a couple hours, I pull it out, hook it up, and I've got a little bit of UPS power to charge up phones or laptops or whatnot. And our flash pretty much our phone for right now, so probably not as prepared as we could be, but not terrible. And as a funny I have my little lamp on the Bofang radio, so worst case scenario, I can use that to get around the house. As for the other question that Walt asked about introvert or extrovert, a little bit of both, kind of a chameleon. In person, I'm a lot more closed off unless there's something that's interesting going on. But on the computer or, behind a keyboard or a mic, I open up a little bit. So, yep, that's it for me. Back to Net Control. This is KE8TSF. Yeah, very good, very good. Hopefully that'll serve you well. That's some useful information there as well too. So, thanks, Paul, for checking in, and we'll look forward to you in a second go round if you're still here. All right, that is the bottom of the list. So we're looking for more check-ins. Please come now with your call sign and name. All righty, well, let's move on up to the top of the list and go from there. KG4LUL, Eric, any final thoughts?
Hey, good evening, KG4LUL. Nope, my only final thought is I'm tired. Started my day at like 4:30 this morning, and gotta do the same tomorrow, so I am going to turn into a pumpkin and call it a night. But enjoyed the net as always, and Larry, you do a fine job, so keep it up. We'll catch you next week. KG4LUL, back to net. 7-3s, everyone.
All right, Eric. Well, thank you for the kind words there, and we'll look forward to you next time around. And you have yourself a good rest tonight, and hopefully you won't have to dig out too much snow. But I don't know how much we're supposed to get. I heard 5 to 8 inches. I hope it's more like 5. We'll see what happens. All right, WB80. Walt, any final thoughts?
WASOX, WB80. You know, when Eric first came on, first go around, he said, all we get here in Virginia is hurricanes. That cracked me up. Eric, before you were born, we went through the Ash Wednesday hurricane that wiped out Virginia Beach, missed Norfolk, and hit the Outer Banks. And was able to go through the police lines in the Outer Banks because the sheriff thought I still lived there. And the devastation was just eye-opening because I've never seen the aftermath of a hurricane. And in the sweltering heat and all that, it doesn't get any worse. Everybody had some great ideas, great stories, and thanks, Joe, for the heads up on the topic. It worked out very well. Just sitting here, it looks like it did quit snowing, though. I can't really tell. And I don't think it's going to be the storm of the century like we were told, but you never know. Everybody stay safe, and Larry, once again, thank you for running the net. Doing a great job. WB80.
All righty, well, thank you, and we'll look forward to talking to you throughout the week. Well, I hope that, but I think it's supposed to snow quite a little bit more here, but I hope you're right. We'll see what happens. But I certainly got a lot to do tomorrow, so I don't want to have to be delayed by a bunch of snow, so we'll see what happens there. All right, that was Walt. Let's move on down the list. VK4, MSS. Mal, any final thoughts? Over to you.
This is VK4MSS bouncing back at you there. Jolly good stuff there, Larry, and good for being in the chair and running a very nice net as you do. And also extend all the goodwill to all the gentlemen on the net. Let's face it, without all the mob on the net, there wouldn't be a net. So, yeah, it's all good. Just one other little point. Call it an apology if you like. As we say here, give it a name, you can have it. I've been absent a fair bit on the odd on various occasions because I've been out at the Milchester Motorsport Complex working out there, and in fact I will be out there again this afternoon and most of Saturday and most of Sunday, getting some work done with a big working bee that's been organised. But yeah, that's where I've been, and sometimes I didn't intend to be out there and suddenly found myself out there. It's just one of those things. But I've been marking out on paper the route, whatever you want to call it, of a new fence line to be put in. And one of the other club members has access to a 35-ton Volvo excavator, and he's been out with that, and he's been clearing the primary fence line through the scrub. I might have mentioned before, this scrub is what's commonly known here as Chine apple, or Chinese apple. A long, boring story about it. The Chinese brought it out when they came. They didn't just bring it to Charter Towers. It arrived in every mining camp that the Chinese were on. But that's another story. But yeah, so I identified the route of the new fence line, drew it all up on paper, thanks to Google Earth, wonderful device, and it's I just let the button go here for a bit, and there we go. And that information, I laminated the drawings, enlarged them quite a bit, and the excavator operator could keep those in his lovely air-conditioned cabin, and with his devices he could follow that course and mark it all out. Well, that's all done on leg one. There are 4 legs of the fence, like most paddocks. It's got 4 sides, and it's very big though, about a square mile. But anyway, this afternoon he's going to drop off a big bobcat. Most of you will know that bobcats come in various sizes. A bobcat's a small digging machine, skid steer thing, and he's bringing one of those out, and then he'll be going through the same fence line to just knock it into shape so people can drive motor vehicles along it. So yeah, that's what we're starting with this afternoon, and I've got some new map data for him. So that's what we're up to here, fellas. And so if I'm not there on the occasional Friday, it's because I'll be out of Milchester. Thanks for having me on board there, Larry, and boring you all up a gum tree with what's happening over here. And we'll catch us all up, as far as I'm aware, next Friday morning my time. Net control, W8SOX, Larry, take it away. This is VK4 Mike Sierra, and I'm in Charter Towers, Australia.
All right, Mel, very good. Yeah, well, we do miss you when you're not here, but we totally understand that a lot of things do get in our way of making the net. I'm guilty of it too. You know, things happen, that's for sure, and you got to do what you have to do. So there is life outside of amateur radio too, but that's not for long for me, that's for sure. So, but anyways, Mel, no need for apologies here, but we understand a lot going on, and keep yourself busy. That's all the main thing. So, thanks for checking in, Mel. We'll look forward to maybe next week or next time we hear from you. With that, let's move on down the list. KI8M. Gary, any final thoughts?
All right, thank you, Larry, for running the net, W8SOX and the group. This is KI8M, Washington Township. Yeah, that's, I think I'm looking at the correct Facebook page for Milchester Motorsport and Recreation in North Queensland. I know conversed a little bit with Mel regarding his efforts, and it's mind-boggling to me, but he's getting it done, so that's fantastic. So very, very good. And regarding the net tonight, good topics, absolutely, and I appreciate hearing some of what the other fellows are doing. I've looked up the battery-powered light bulb that Shadow mentioned. That's pretty cool. You can find that on Amazon, and also the what was it? The through Reddit.com, the flashlight and the LED lanterns mentioned on Amazon. Also check those out as well. I might be opting towards that. That I could see a future for me with those, just to keep one in each one of our vehicles, and we have 2 spare. Maybe I'll give them to my daughter and son-in-law. Anyhow, we appreciate all that information. And Larry, a quick aside to you, I don't know if you knew it or not, but Oakland Hills Golf and Country Club, their clubhouse caught fire, and some of Bloomfield Township's finest were out there today. And I guess 9 other fire departments are going to rotate in and out through tonight and tomorrow. So we'll see 7-3 to 1 and all. We will listen out. Back to net control. This is KI8M.
All right, Gary, very good. Yeah, I knew about it early this morning when my phone started lighting up. So yeah, it's interesting. 100-year-old building. It's a shame, you know. Just a darn shame that thing. I guess that's one of the second largest wooden structured building in the state. The first is the Grand Hotel. So that'll give you an idea how big that place was, and it's a shame. But I'm sure they'll rebuild, and but it won't be a 100-year-old building, but at least it'll be up to date, and so forth. So they won't get away with not installing water sprinklers, that's for sure. Probably have to do it next time. So Gary, thanks for checking in, and I look forward to hearing you throughout the week here as well. Let's move on down the list. Alpha Charlie 8 Zulu Delta. Dave, any final thoughts?
Well, for everyone in the Metro Detroit area, hopefully the snow cleanup tomorrow is not so bad. And everybody stay safe on the roads and all that. But other than that, eating dinner here, so I'll bring it back to net. Talk to everyone later. 73s. AC8ZD.
All right, Dave, thanks for checking in. And oh, by the way, any photo activations in your near future?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know yet. I just ordered a 10 meter and a 6 meter ham stick, so 6 meter won't be good until spring, but since 10 has been open, I want to try that, so we'll see. But I think what I'm going to try to do, though, is go up to Wetzel next time, and because I want to get the kilo. I guess if you get 1,000 contacts in one park, you get a kilo certificate, so that might be my next goal. And then when I clear that one, then I'll go back to Belle Isle and all the other ones. But we'll see. All depends on when I can get out there. Back to you. AC8ZD.
All right, Dave, very good. Yeah, I got my eyes set on a few parks here, and one of them being Belle Isle too. So, but the others are north of here, and maybe I'll get her done. We'll see what happens there. I did try one park last year. The band conditions were so terrible that I couldn't even get out, or couldn't even get anyone to come back to me. So, oh well, such is life. But we'll see what happens this time around with the band conditions changing a little bit and things improving. You never know. Hopefully you get those contacts and get that kilo there. So, very good. Thanks, Dave. And let's move on down the list. VE9DEN. Dennis, any final thoughts? Over to you. All right. Let's see. November 4, Sugar Lima. Shadow, any final thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to let the gentleman whose relative that I think he said just became a ham that in the villages, that I live next door to the villages in Coleman, Florida, so I'm right next to them. As a new ham, I'm just curious because of what I went through with Irma and in Hurricane Irma and losing my cell service. What type of backup power do amateur radio repeaters use when there's a power outage N4 SSL back to the net?
Okay, that's a very good question. I know before I know it's still set up that way. On the Universal Tower, we got several batteries in there that will, in fact, Ryan would disconnect the main power and let the repeater run, and it was going for, I think, 2 days before he decided to hook it back up, and it still had plenty of power. He had some really good deep cell batteries in there, and even with everyone talking on it, it was transmitting everything, it was still going good. So, but I'm sure some repeaters have that. I know some of the repeaters are at sites where they have backup power through generators. So I think, the Zombie, Usika, and the IRS all have backup generators running the buildings there. So that's a good thing if you can get that. And then there's like Ryan he had the batteries, so that thing I was surprised how well that worked, and hopefully we can get that machine back up and running. It'd be great. We're working on it, but getting climbers to climb the tower is a little difficult right now. With all the cell phone companies trying to get their 5G network set up, they're grabbing all the tower climbers they can. So, but hopefully we'll see a light at the end of the tunnel there. All right, Shadow, thanks for checking in here, and we'll go from there. Hopefully we'll hear you throughout the week. And by the way, your hotspot's doing a good job there. With that, November 4, Sierra Lima. That was November 4, Sierra Lima. Let's go down to Jim, W1IK. Jim, any final thoughts?
Quick comment.
W8SOX, net control. Here is Whiskey 1 in India Kilo, portable 8. Well, you mentioned the solar-powered flashlights there, Larry. That kind of made me think of, what are you going to do? It's sunny out. Why do you need a flashlight? It's kind of like a wind-powered fan, isn't it? I know. Okay. Well, not a great deal else to report here. I'm just kind of winding down my dinner, getting ready to brave the last few miles. I was working out in the north end of Rochester Hills today when the storm started about halfway through the workday, and we were looking at all the snow coming down, and we had to clean up and load out in the snow, and they had about probably at 5 p.m. they had about 5 inches of snow on the vehicles in the parking lot at that time. And I drove from roughly Avon Road and I-75 down to 12 Mile and John R. here where I had my dinner. So we'll get a look at the car. Car's probably covered in snow now, but we'll get back to East Point. Take our time. No big rush. And I'm using DroidStar app on the Android phone and my hardwired headset and microphone. So audio you said was hot. Hopefully it's not too hot now. I haven't changed anything since I rectified the situation earlier. So hopefully you're hearing me well enough. And this setup works pretty well for DMR too, which is mainly why I got it. Because I don't have a DMR radio. But, you know, I didn't have the hotspot in my H2 setup for today because it was a work day, so I didn't bother to bring any of that along, but we're using the cell phone and DroidStar. So, anyway, with that, we'll send it back to you, Larry. W8SOX and that Whiskey 1, India Kilo, Jim in Madison Heights, Michigan.
Okay, Jim, thanks for checking in there, and I hope the pizza was good there, and it usually is, so. And I knew this was going to happen, but there was someone who wanted to make a comment, but I knew with the delay of Jim using a DroidStar, I tried to jump in real quick, but Jim beat you. But someone said there was a comment. Please come again.
Yeah, Larry, this is Kilo Echo 4 Zulu Yankee Quebec. I wanted to catch that operator there, the ham that asked about the backup generators or whatever for the repeaters. I just wanted to let him know if he's still listening in out by the villages or whatever down in Florida. I think he said he was. That look up on Repeater Book if he's not familiar with it, and he can look up and see what repeaters in his areas have backup power if it's up to date. I just wanted to throw that in, and I'll wait till my turn to any other comments on the 73 round. But thank you for letting me get in there. And back to you, Larry, and the net, KE4ZYQ, Joe in Clinton Township.
Well, okay, Joe. Well, very good. Well, you were up next anyway, so why don't you go ahead and finish up? Unless you were finished, go ahead.
No, actually, I had a couple more things to say. KE4ZYQ here in a minute. Walt for the flowers on the subject matter. I appreciate that more than you know. And the idea of Walt's question of introvert, extrovert, I guess I'm a deep thinker, so I have to go into detail briefly without boring too many people or making their ears bleed. I'm considered a reserved, secure extrovert. Non-competitive extrovert. So I guess my psychology class and my background in healthcare made me develop a personality and a way of dealing with communications differently than just cut and dry. And let me take a break a second. And extroverts can be very open and communicative, and without being competitive or insecure or having to be the life of the party all the time. If I see people competing to be the class clown, I kind of be reserved and more introvert, I guess you could say. Because I'm not in competition, I'm not out to prove anything, I'm pretty secure in personality and background, experience, and knowledge, but not to the point of arrogance or narcissistic. So life's a little deeper. I guess I think deeper, and I have to maybe apologize for being a little boring tonight. But to answer the question, I'm a reserved, non-competitive extrovert. Back to you, Larry, and Annette, KE4ZYQ.
Okay, Joe. That was pretty good. And thanks for your input on that repeater book stuff as well. I did forget about that. That is true. You can find out which repeaters you can do have backup power. So that's a neat little app you can put on your phone too. wherever you go, whatever you do, you can, where you move, if you travel 25 miles from here, you can click on repeater book and it'll give you all the repeaters in the area, and so forth. Or if you're traveling out of state, it'll still do the same thing. It's a real neat app. So there you go. Thanks, Joe, for checking in, and we'll look forward to hearing you again next week, same time, same place. With that, we'll move on down the list to Andy, N8HUB, who actually runs the Tuesday night nets over there on the West Michigan Link system, and he does a real nice job with that. If you haven't had a chance to check into their net, please try to give it a try. Real interesting. Andy, any final thoughts?
Yeah, so excellent group at HB. Yeah, thanks, Larry. Yeah, I was going to mention that Tuesday night net at 7 o'clock, 21335. So if you get a chance, haven't been on there or heard it and didn't click in, stop by and say hello. I'll be glad to have you. Well, as far as introvert or extrovert, I guess now I'm kind of an introvert. I live with a 93-year-old aunt. She can't walk anymore, and nobody's around to help her except me, so I got to be here about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to make a club meeting tonight, but I couldn't do that either. But let's see how she goes here as the good weather gets here. I hope she gets better. And they're giving her a lot of pills and doctor's appointments, and nothing's working. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, as far as the candles, another little trick, a friend of mine told me, take about 4 of those little candles you put under pans for heating pans, those little candles, bigger round than what they are tall, I guess, but take about 4 of those and put about a 1/2 inch gap between the plate you set it on and an upside down clay pot that you put plants in. And light those, that'll heat up that clay, and you get quite a bit of heat off that too. I haven't tried it. I guess they use an ice fish shandy, so it seems to work good. Be something to try. Hey, thanks, Larry. We'll catch you Tuesday, N8HUB.
All right there, Andy. Yes, Tuesday, 7 p.m. on the West Michigan Link system. So very good. Yes, that's what I use, those little candles too, so they're nice to have once in a while. So very good, Andy. Thanks. We'll look forward to next week, or if not some other time here on this one, or when I check in over there somewhere. You never know. All right, let's see here. Let's go to KE8TSF. Paul, any final thoughts? Alrighty, that was the bottom of the list. We're looking for last-minute check-ins, or anyone else who wants to check in. Please come with your call sign and name. This is W8SOX.
This is KE8PAE. Name is Brian. N8IGM, Joe up and Hale.
All right, we picked up Joe, N8IGM. Joe, how you doing tonight? And hope the weather's up there is better than it is down here. Over to you, Joe.
Well, thanks, Larry. Yeah, the weather's a lot better up here than it is down there. Cold-wise it might be, but we're not getting what you guys are getting down here the way I understand. And we're not going to the way I understand also. But you never can tell with Mother Nature, you know. All it takes is a puff of wind and it goes the other direction. Other than that, we got, it wasn't icy this morning. We did get a little rain last night, but it was 45 yesterday up here in Hale. So I went over to Rose City to meet the guys. You know, we meet every Thursday at the cafe there on the hill instead of McDonald's and that stuff. And we can't go to the park yet; it's too cold. So I met the guys over there. Chris, as you know, is down in Florida, so I don't know if he's checked in or not. But there was Dean and a few of the other guys there. And that, but it was nice going down Rose City Road and everything. I had no problem whatsoever. So it's been nice. They say tomorrow is supposed to be a little iffy, but mainly it's going to be down by you guys. Other than that, that's about it there, Larry. Just we keep forgetting all the time, and I was up on the 700 repeater there in Mayo, and as soon as I heard about the net, they brought up about the 700 2-meter net there. It hit me right away about this one here, so I shot down here and caught the tail end of it. At least I got in there, so 73 to all you guys, and hopefully if Uncle Walt's listening and everybody else, hope they have a nice, safe day tomorrow. N8IG.
Okay, Joe. Well, very good. Good to hear from you. And by the way, we had a question tonight. How are you prepared with lighting in case of an emergency? You know, you guys lose power up there. Do you have backup lighting at all? And what kind and what is it that you use for backup lighting? Over to you.
I'll copy that, Larry. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got backup. We got an 8,000 watt generator. It drops down to 7,500 or something like that during normal use. It's got a 9-gallon tank on it, and it'll last. It runs around 14 hours before I have to refill it. So I check it before I go to bed at night, and it's guaranteed to still have plenty of gas in it by the time I get up in the morning. But that's what we use. We got a generator. We can't afford one of those Generexes, but we got a generator, and we get. A Generex would be nice because we got natural gas up here, so that'd really save a lot instead of using the propane. But that's what we got. We got that, and we got actually all kind of flashlights and LED flashlight types and that stuff. And we keep about 20 gallons of gas out in the garage there, in the other garage, barn, I guess you could call it, for emergency purposes, for the snow blower and everything else. NAIG.
All righty, sir. Well, that's good. Yep, I know. When the power goes up there, out in those rural areas, it can sometimes be days before it comes back on. So, thanks for checking in, Joe, and good to hear you again. And we'll maybe hear from you, or I'll check in up there one way or another. We'll see what happens there. All right, that was the bottom of the list. I think we'll take one more last call for check-ins. If anyone wants to do it, join us. Please come now.
A recheck.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, KE4ZYQ there, Larry. Just one last thing I was going to say earlier, but forgot, being my age and all. My dad was a chief of the volunteer fire department in the city we used to live in when he was alive and we were younger. And I highly recommend, in the summertime especially, not to use candles due to storms or power outages because of possible gas leaks, let alone further windstorms and the fire potential. But obviously lanterns, battery-operated lanterns, and LEDs are a little more safer, obviously, than the lit fires like that, any kind of flames. And one thing to keep in mind, if you're watching it closely, is if you get one of these burners, portable burners that run on butane, you can use butane burner inside the house as opposed to propane. And that little burner, if you put a little terracotta pot on top of it and have it vented, yeah, like the guy said, there's a thing on YouTube about making a little heater for a house with little small candles in a terracotta pot, bottom and top, and you can make a pretty good heater. Puts off a lot of heat for emergency if you make one of those ahead of time. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, but thanks for letting me jump in again. I promise I won't do it again tonight. Back to you, Larry, KE4ZYQ.
Oh yeah. I'm not a very big fan of candles, but I brought up candles because you can in a coffee can they're in a controlled environment, and that's where I use candles for lighting, but also heating. If you ever get stuck out in a blizzard someplace, a couple blankets and that little coffee can will keep the car from getting too cold there, and so forth. So yeah, trust me, I've seen plenty of damage with candles. So, alrighty, thanks, Joe. And with that, I don't think we had any other check-ins. So with that, we're going to end the net tonight. I want to thank everyone for checking in and sharing their stories and advice on things. And we'll look forward to hearing you same time, same place next week on this frequency and the room. And with that, we'll return to all repeaters back to normal amateur use and say 73 is all. This is W8SOX.
W8SOX, KG4LUL. You did a fine job like always. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night. 73's, KG4LUL.
Thanks, Eric, and we'll look forward to hearing you again here sometime soon. 73 WSOX.